Thank you so much, Pandurang and Marijke, for your presentations. So we are now going to go over to questions. So you can do that through Slido, or if you are going to do it by standing up, please do stand up, say your name, where you're from, and keep your questions short so that we can get through as many of them as possible in the time before we have to turn the room over. That would be amazing. So we will go over to the floor for questions.
Hi there, thank you so much. They were two amazing presentations. I guess in particular, I think our interest is piqued by your amazing desk seating skills and the ability to get what feel like really, really meaningful concessions or enablers within your government policy back in India to support. One of the things we learned when we went to Italy, again, was how politicians can use their, the regulations and encouragement or like lower planning consents to enable and really facilitate agritourism growth. In Italy, they talked about how the government had also put some checks and balances into that around maintaining production and food from the farms, and I guess I was just interested in that long list of things that were so positive about the financial support and the policy support you've had in India. Have they put those checks and balances in as well that tie your farming businesses to remaining as farming businesses and food producers, or is that set more within a rural tourism sort of area? That makes sense.
Okay. So there is a clause that you can only use 20% of your land for tourism business and 80% has to be farming. Because people normally come to see the farms. They don't come to stay in the farm, or they don't come for the infrastructure, as I told you. And if there is no farm, there is no agritourism. So 80% has to be agriculture and 20% has to be tourism. If it is vice versa, then all the commercial rules will take place. Above 8 rooms, all the commercial rules will take place. He has to take 42 permissions from government to build 1 room if he is building more than 9 rooms. If it is, because then it will be termed as commercial project. Hope I answered you. Thank you.
I've got a question here. So although there's double the farms in New Zealand than there is here, what would be the top agritourism offering that there would be in New Zealand on those farms?
Well, a lot of it is accommodation with, added value activities around it. And that's very varied, but because a lot of the farms are very remote, they need to stay somewhere. So accommodation is the number one. But more and more are developing, like I said before, like multi-day experiences, and that's something that I'm really excited about because, people come and stay 3 days instead of just the 1, and those sort of, you don't have to think about what you're going to do because it's all packaged up, and people working together, like we've heard one of the speakers earlier. The collaboration between different operators in one area. For example, you might have an accommodation on one farm, and the next farm offers horse tracking, and then they put together, multi-day packages, like clinics and all sorts of stuff by, working together instead of having that individual offering. But accommodation is really number one with add-ons.
Any more questions from the floor? Yes, down here. There's a microphone just coming over, Eric.
I'm just wondering, whenever I tend to go on a holiday, I choose to stay in an English-speaking country. How does that affect the agritourism in India with people a bit like me who are ignorant and linguistics of a snail, basically? Do you think that holds back, or is there ways around that other than sign language and body language, etc.?
What are you saying?
So
English has
does everyone speak English in India?
That is what I wanted to say. There is a barrier, yes.
So if they don't speak English, how do you deal
because,
with it?
So basically, we host 99% of our domestic tourists. There is only 1% because even though India is the agriculturalist country, India's tourism is marketed to the world only to see Taj Mahal and Jaipur and Agra, you know. So India is much more beyond that. We are still lagging behind of literacy, and there is where we come into picture for hand-holding the farmers and their next generation, showing them if he works in the urban cities, how much he is going to earn and how much he is going to lose. And here, by adding tourism, how much he is going to earn and what he is going to lose. So if the next generation gets convinced about it, they stay back and somehow, not fluent English like you, because I should thank my father, because my father was just 4th standard pass way back because he passed away at the age of 86. And that time, he thought that my son should study in English medium school. And that is why I think Caroline called me here to speak with you in English. But yes, we have the problem. People don't speak much fluent English than you. But say, well said and done that, because you from Scotland will not come to my farm. You will not you will not buy the visa just to come to see my farm. So you will come to India to see your whatever you have planned, and if you have 2-3 days in your hand, your local host will take you to my farm because you insisted him to see the local India. I want to see the local India. I want to see the local farms. And that is why the local host, then he wakes up and he brings you to the farms at India. But yes, that is how.
And a question for both of you. Obviously, you've visited a few places over your days here so far when you've been in Scotland. Based on your experience, what is one thing that we are doing well here, and what is one thing we need to work on? If you could answer that shortly, in a concise answer, then that would be very good.
Well, I think it's, from what I've experienced, it's all wonderful. Like there's nothing that you're not doing well. I think you're all amazing, and I love the passion. That's what I get so much energy from, hearing your stories. And from what we've seen, we've been to a number of these farm shops, I guess they're called. And we don't really have so many of those because, we're so far from urban areas. So that was really cool. That's sort of different. But, like I said, it was 38 years ago since I was last here, and I just love Scotland. Like, I would always go to those, and been to Ireland back then as well, rather than going to Spain or, I love this type of tourism. So I think what you do is fantastic, and keep it up, keep going, and keep developing more amazing experiences. So, only good stuff.
We have time for probably maybe one more question from the floor. If anybody's got a question on the floor, we can take that.
Yeah,
just in the middle there.
Hi, Blair Lundy from TAIL. So this is for New Zealand Agritourism. So we also provide like an online learning platform. So I was very pleased to hear that you have built that yourself. But I wondered kind of what types of resources are you hosting on there? And what are the main benefits for your members?
So it's really, I call it Agritourism Academy and Community. So it's a platform where people connect as well. So apart from online, like there's lots of little videos that like about, I think, 80 videos I've got on there, covering every aspect of setting up an agritourism business. And then there's a pros section where we go more in depth about different things. We have guest speakers, we have, like I said, those weekly sessions. So there's a whole lot they get in there. But the big thing is about connecting. So with those live sessions each week, I think that's the one thing that works really well. People love that. Because it's so all over the country. it's very difficult to get them all together as much as you do here. But your chapters here that you have, like your regional, that's something that's in the pipeline for us as well. But so this is the interim. But yeah, it'll be interesting to talk to you as well, see what you do. Yeah, and again, I'm very much for collaborating, and that's with like the Global Agritourism Network with the Education Committee. You should join that as well. It's really interesting to see what other people do and learn from each other. That's what I think it's, and that's what we're doing here as well in talking to people. So
amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Pandurang. Thank you so much.
I mean, to answer that question, gentlemen, what his question was that what help you do to the members? That is what?
Yeah. So all those. So it's basically connecting people and answering the individual questions also. So make sure that it's tailored to their needs, not just generic things, but really
just
tailored
to
to their
answer your
needs.
question, that I do when I walk my talk, because unless and until I experience on my farm, I don't suggest other farmers to do that. Because we have 3,000 farmers doing tourism in our region. So every now and then, me, Avinash, my wife now, because after my daughter's marriage, she is alone at home, so she is now sitting next to in my car, and then we are actually roaming in our region, 1 night there, 2 nights there, and visiting farmers, doing agritourism farms. She helps them to do the creative work on the farms, like paintings, creating arts, craft, handicrafts, and she helps their woman farmer, their wife of a farmer, to create a creative atmosphere on the farm.
Great.
And I'm more on marketing, sales, and hand-holding of the farmers.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much to both of you for the insights into your countries. I'm sure everybody here in the audience has enjoyed it, and they are here this evening as well. So if you want to try and catch them, then please do.